Hi, this is Mrs. Moreno, and I'm going to be your English 1A instructor this semester. I wanted to give you a brief overview of our class website because even though we are having a face-to-face class, we're going to be using Blackboard a lot. So you should get familiar with it and to know your way around the class. The first section you'll notice in the left-hand column here, we have 4 sections that our class is broken down into. The first of those sections is communication, and the very first of those links is the announcements page, which is where we are. I will use announcements to post updates to just about everything, and if I need to reach the entire class fairly quickly, I'm going to post an announcement. So these should go directly to your Fresno City College email that an announcement has been posted. You can also get notifications if you use Blackboard Mobile, or you can simply come to Blackboard and look at the announcements page. But you're going to want to check this out frequently. If for some reason class would be canceled, which really isn't going to happen very often, so don't get excited about that. But if for some reason class should be canceled, then there would be an announcement about that here. The second section of our communication area is the question and answer discussion board, and this mimics that in-class discussion. You know how in class a student will ask a question and the teacher's able to answer it and all the other students can hear the answer? Well, the question and answer discussion board is a mimic of that in-class discussion. So when you have a question about coursework, about an assignment, you can ask that question here, and I will be checking this board several times a day and will answer fairly quickly. You can also answer other students' questions on this board. You can find quick answers. If you're going to ask a question, first scroll through, make sure your question hasn't already been asked and answered. If it hasn't, then go ahead and post it. The contact Mrs. Moreno link, this is where you would email me directly, should be used when you have a question that is not of a concern to the entire class. So for example, you've missed class, you're going to miss class that day, and you need to let me know that you're going to miss class. Well, the entire class doesn't need to know that. Or you have a question about your grade. The entire class doesn't need to know that either. So contacting me directly should be used when you have a question about something's personal to you. You can also contact other students should you need to do that through that communication area. You can either contact other students individually, or you can contact the entire class, maybe asking for help with a paper or something like that, whatever you'd like to do. The second section of our class is coursework. This is the major area of our class. You will start at step 1, start here. And this has the syllabus and the course policies. The course policies are included inside the syllabus, but they're also listed individually and also in this area right here, because they're important. It's really important that you know what the drop policies are for the semester. It's really important you know what the course communication policy is, the late work policies, and the plagiarism policy. Make sure you get familiar with these policies. There's different policies for essays and for other kinds of assignments, so you want to check those out. Make sure you're familiar with what they are. Also in step 1, start here, I've included suggestions for calendaring. Sometimes if you're a student, most students are busy. Most students work full-time or part-time. Many students have families. Some have small children, and it can be really difficult to get everything done during the week. Well, if you start calendaring your life a little bit, that's going to help you a lot. And in the interest of doing that, in the interest of helping you plan ahead, I've also posted in step 2 weekly units the work for the week. So this will give you a sense of what's going to be due, when it's going to be due throughout the week. Not everything will be due in class. Many assignments will be due outside of class, done on Blackboard, submitted to Blackboard. So that kind of makes it a little bit more flexible for you. So if you go to Unit 1 Overview, or Unit 1, Step 1, whatever. Okay, Step 2, Weekly Units. Unit 1 is our very first week of class, so each week is going to be a different unit. So our first unit, we're going to be getting introduced to the class and to each other, and to the concept of writing as a conversation. So in this, when you open up a weekly unit, you will notice there's a table of contents here. And it's a pretty big portion of the screen here. If you want to make it smaller, click on minimize. You can make it bigger, click on maximize. You can move it down to the bottom of the page and minimize it if you find it distracting. But for right now, let's put it up in the middle. And every week you will note there will be an overview of the week. So this tells you generally what we're going to be doing this week. There's going to be a list of what you should get out of it, out of the work that you do that week, how you will benefit from it. There will be a brief list of the assignments. And then there's a broken down list of the assignments that's very specific, tells you due dates, tells you points, provides links for you to get to those assignments. So that is a great way to keep yourself organized. I've also provided a checklist every week. So you can actually click on the PDF version of that right there and print that off for yourself. You can put it on your refrigerator. You can put it next to your computer. You can put it on your bathroom mirror, any place that you're going to see it. And it also lists not only what the assignments are, but also when they're due and how many points they're worth. So that's a really great way to keep yourself more organized this semester. You can also navigate through the week's assignments by clicking on the different areas of the table of contents, or you can navigate by clicking on these page arrows here and here. And just know that every week on Saturday morning, a new weekly unit is going to go up. And that means that you can get started on your work for the week before the week even starts, which is pretty terrific. Discussion boards. The question and answer discussion board that I mentioned earlier, that is here. Other discussion boards, you're going to have a discussion board assignment pretty much every week. Because you're writing when you're writing in a discussion board assignment. It's further writing practice, and it's more class communication. It fosters a dialogue between the students and the class, which is always great. So you're going to have an original post, usually due by Tuesday. You're going to have 2 replies to other students' original posts, usually due by Thursday. That's where the discussion boards are, right here. Course blogs. Course blogs are short writing assignments. You're going to have one of these pretty much every week. They will have different purposes, different things you need to do. So it's all writing practice. Reading response journal, when you're assigned readings in the books, you will usually have notes to do, and this would be where you'd post them. And the kinds of notes you're going to be doing are annotations. And right below the reading response journal, you will find guidelines for annotating the different kinds of readings we'll be doing. I've also provided Cornell Notes forms for those of you who are more familiar with those or like those. They're here, and I've included instructions in different platforms. So they're available as a Word document. They're available as a Pages document for a Mac or whatever. Editing log forms. After every essay is returned to you graded, you will be responsible for doing an editing log, and we'll talk about that later, what that involves, but for right now, just know those forms are here. And then in the About This Class section, you'll find the syllabus, you'll find the course policies again, and you'll also find course materials and a list of the books, and I'll be adding maybe other stuff to this as we go through, but these are the books you're going to need for this semester. You want to get them as soon as possible. And if you look at the syllabus, these books are listed right here. Make sure you get these editions. And wherever you purchase your books, just know you're going to need them right at the beginning of the semester. So please don't put off getting them. You're going to get behind in the class if you do. The Faith Healer of Olive Avenue, you're not going to need that book till maybe a little past the half of the semester. But these two you will need right away, so make sure you get your books. Resources. Throughout the semester, you're always going to be able to look and see what your grade is in the class. So you should never email me and say, hey, what's my grade? You should just go to my grades and check it out. And I'm pretty quick on grading, so this should be pretty much up to date. So this is the place to look. Don't get overwhelmed as you look down the list of assignments, because as I create the semester on Blackboard, I'm adding assignments in. They're all going to be listed. However, they're not all due, obviously, right away. So if you get easily overwhelmed, I suggest simply don't look down the list. If you need help with Blackboard, you can also find that in resources. Different ways to get around in the class. If you have any questions, you might want to check this out. They have written resources for you and also video tutorials. Very helpful. We also have tutoring available to you, online and face-to-face. So be aware of that. It's right on campus. It's free. Students who are tutors have usually gotten gotten a B in the class that you're going to be taking, and most of them have gotten A's, and they know what they're doing. So use those resources. They also provide online tutoring for you. So just be aware that if you are planning on using the online tutoring, that they're going to need whatever work you want them to look at. They're going to need it several days before it's due. They're not going to be able to look at it the night before it's due. So be aware of that time restriction if you plan on using the online tutors. And to finish, we have a couple of resources. They will be available. They're not available right now, but there are resources to look at our books right here and additional resources for those. So that's just an introduction to our class Blackboard site. I suggest that you get familiar with it, go around, click on things. You can't break anything by clicking on it, so explore. Have a great semester, and I look forward to meeting you on January 12th.